So when I make videos about real estate on my Urdu channel, a lot of people come to me and ask me how can they buy a property in Dubai. So basically there are three kind of people that they are coming to me. First of all, people who are residents of Dubai, they can easily go to a developer office or let's say hire a real estate agent and they can pick and choose the property they want, and it's easy. I mean, they can go for cash payment as well. They have the cash and they can pay for the property, or in case they don't have the cash, they can go for the mortgage, and whatever the terms of mortgage are, they can go to the bank and they can finance the property. This is first kind of people. The second kind of people are those who are outside UAE and who don't have the residence permit of the UAE, or let's say they don't have the residency here, but they want to invest the property. They have the hard-earned money and they have all the funds available. They can just transfer the money to the bank here, and their real estate agent can handle everything for them, and they can purchase the property either by coming here to the UAE or even buying the property remotely. There is a third kind of crowd who have the fund with them, but they don't want to spend, either they don't want to spend the complete amount of funds they have, or they have shortage of fund and they want to have a mortgage done. Now it's a very alien concept outside of the UAE, that let's say uh, if you're not living in that country, if you're not resident of that country, if you're not citizen of that country, but you can still mortgage the property, and banks can happily mortgage your property for X amount of money. I have found one of the person, he's one of my subscriber as well. Once I was going through his story, and I found it really fascinating. I thought that my subscribers for the channel would also love to hear about that, because he, being in the US, he purchased the property in the UAE just by touring through Google Map, going through the websites like Property Finder and Bayut. Incidentally, got a very good real estate agent as well who helped him find the right property for him, and then he also get in contact with the lender who is the mortgage provider, and he somehow got the mortgage done as well. He just came to the UAE from the US for 2-3 days and his deal was completely closed. I thought that viewers from this channel should know about this story, and they should know how something of this sort can happen if somebody is outside UAE, no connection to the UAE, no residency, no Emirates ID, and still they can do the mortgage here from the banks within the UAE, and they can whatever down payment they have to do, they can do, and then the remaining amount can be financed with the bank. So this is a huge opportunity for anyone thinking about buying a property in Dubai. This person who I'm going to talk to is Mr. Khurram Khani, is based in the US. He has worked with a lot of startups. He has worked with the Fortune 500 companies as well, and he has a LinkedIn profile which is down below in the description. You can go and follow him there as well. He is not a professional personal finance advisor, nor do I do any kind of personal finance advice. But at the same time, he has a great acumen and he looks things differently. I hope you like the podcast. Please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Without further ado, let's begin. So, as I told you in the beginning, I have Mr. Khurram with me, and Mr. Khurram has a wide experience for investing, as well as he has experience in startups as well. We are going to discuss today how somebody can invest in a property in Dubai, especially if he wants to get a mortgage while staying outside Dubai. I mean, he doesn't have any kind of residence in Dubai or any residence visa in Dubai. If somebody wants to invest in the property of the UAE while having some mortgage as well, Khurram already has done it. So we are going to walk through his experience on this, and also some prerequisites and the formalities alongside. Welcome to the show, Khurram. How are you?
I'm doing well, Wali. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
So, Khurram, as we were discussing earlier, you were telling me that you were able to get the mortgage approved for yourself, and then carried on with that. And your full experience was hassle free as well. So, can you walk us through, and how was the process started from, and why did you opt for Dubai property on the first hand?
Yep, sure, Wali. Wali, I'm based out of California, Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm here, for like past 20 years. My job, my profession is in the IT, where I'm associated for quite a while. I also work, in Dubai for some time, so I know the areas there well. So coming to the question, I think currently Dubai, if you are in UAE, especially in Dubai, you can actually go and buy a property online. You can search online. You can look at the various mortgages online. Actually, the funny thing is you can mortgage it, you can buy it, you can put the utilities there. Only internet they don't give you without the resident card, which I found
Ah,
it very funny.
really?
So
I didn't know about that.
yeah,
So,
so
Etisalat or do connection, you cannot make it if you are not a resident.
Yeah. So they tell you, hey, you are not resident. How come we can give you? And I'm like, dude, you gave me the mortgage. You gave me the house and utilities and everything, and internet.
Hmm.
Internet is one thing, but that's on the funny side. Uh,
Hmm.
so so the thing is, and I'll walk through the process of like how you can go and search for the property, and search for the mortgages, what the process look like, and then the closing process, how what you have to budget for. And then if you are planning to like rent it, versus living there, I think there are sometimes different criteria for a property that you want to rent versus buy, live there. And then also associated is the local bank account, what they call the non-resident bank accounts, how to open them.
Right.
So uh so so I think so that's the full cycle. Now, your question was, hey,
Why Dubai?
why Dubai?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I think for me, it was about, the reason was more around diversification. Sometimes, when you're investing, you want to make sure that you have some international exposure to the assets. And so when I look into it, like a place you can reliably invest. And I think what I found the Dubai very unique was they give the mortgage to a non-resident. A non-resident is a person who does not have an Emirates ID card, who
Hmm.
does not have a resident visa, who like the person who does not have an Emirates ID card. And Emirates ID card is required for pretty much anything you do there. So they offer you the non-res the mortgages to the non-resident. Like, I mean, if you look at the West, right? So US, they are not going to, like US or Canada or any Western country you take, unless you have a local credit history, you have some status there, the immigration status, only, and you have a sustainable income for a while, not only that.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
you build a credit history. It's an organic
Yes.
process.
Yes.
And only then they offer you the mortgage. So nobody wants to take this kind of a risk of like giving the mortgage to a non-resident. So when I saw, like, I read the news maybe a little bit late, back in just before COVID, in 2019. So I liked what they were doing, and I wanted to explore more. So I think it was around the diversification of assets. And then you can get a mortgage in Dubai. And another benefit of, like, when if you are in like US or Canada, you take a local mortgage, so it goes against your credit history, so you can only have so much that you can so you can take like up to four mortgages in US, for example. And every time you like take like a loan out, mortgage is a loan, right? So there are three different type of loans. Like, you have a mortgage loan, you have installment loan, like a car loan or any personal loan, and then you have the revolving credit line. A revolving credit line is like credit card or any credit lines you have. So if you take like a mortgage or any loan, so like it can take a toll on your credit history as well. And Dubai, when you take a mortgage there is zero effect on your credit history.
Hmm.
The loan happens in a la la land, right? And
Hmm.
the local credit bureaus, so they don't have visibility into it, which and it doesn't impact. So
But
so so you
just I'm interrupting you here because whenever we go for any financial institute, going, let's say, for opening an account, let's say, or let's say applying for let's say, or not applying, investing for something, they always ask us if you have a U.S. citizenship or U.S. residence. That will, of course, they're asking for it and they will be reporting it back. So once you are taking a mortgage, are they not reporting it back to the U.S.?
No, so that is a FATCA compliance. So FATCA compliance is different. So if you open a bank account, for example, so for what FATCA compliance is essentially, the US IRS, the income tax here, wants to make sure that anybody who is doing a transaction, for example, if you get a rent in Dubai, you have to pay the taxes there.
The
So you have
taxes,
to,
yes.
and that's a different topic maybe for a day. So you
Yeah.
will pay the taxes on it. If you have a capital gain, you sell the property, you still have to pay the cap. You are not exempted, from the taxes.
Hmm.
So FATCA mostly applies to the bank accounts. So when you are
Okay.
the banking system and you have the money coming in, they want to know the source of money, and if
Mm-hmm.
you have capital gain, you have to pay the taxes. Now,
Right.
you can go buy a property overseas. There is not an issue. So you can do that. I'm talking specifically for US, so you can go and buy like a property overseas. They don't have an issue with that. And the coming to the credit bureau thing, credit bureau thing is not taxation related. That's just pure
Right.
credit and the lending related
And
to
it's kind of local only.
Yes. So
Okay.
so credit bureau is, like in US, if you are like, there are three credit unions, so Experience, Equifax, and TransUnion. So when you make a like when you get a loan, so let's say if you so to get a mortgage, typically you want to have a credit score of above 720. So here the max is 850 out of
Okay.
that. So if you when you so let's say your score is 800, you take a loan, your score becomes 780. Then you take
Right.
another loan, it becomes 760, and then it grows back over a period of time.
Hmm.
So so the thing is, so there is so you it takes a toll on your credit score, but for some people it might be okay. And the second thing is, so if you take a local loan, then you need to dispatch, you need to pay it here. And so it is going to be, if you have to buy a property like overseas, so there is no like loan that you can actually get in US per se. You need to get a personal loan, or use a credit line, to do
Yes.
that. So I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
It's yeah.
And it will hit your credit history anyways.
Yeah. So so the way the credit, if you use your revolving credit line, for example, if you are buying a like 150K or 200K property there, so and you have a revolving credit line of like, let's say, 250, you use 150, it means you are using it 60%, right? It will take a dent on the credit,
Hmm.
so you
Hmm.
it will take on the dent on it. And so they see it that they see it as you as a person who has utilized 60% of your credit card,
Yes,
let me
yes,
put it
yes,
this way.
yes, 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 yes. And it's even here now in Dubai also they are recommending not to exhaust your credit cards, whatever the number is. Let's say if you whatever your salary is, whatever your income is, but if your credit card, one of the credit card is having very less limit, don't use that because if you start using it and then if it goes beyond certain limit, then it will impact your credit history. So it's same as the any other loan.
Yeah. And I explored it. So I explored a couple of lenders. They were not lending, to buy like a property overseas. So you cannot like so typical big institutions. This is they said okay, they are okay to give a personal loan. This is they don't have a problem. And personal loan definitely has a higher interest rate.
Interest rate. Yeah.
So back then it was like 9%. Now it might be 20%, right? So if you
Wow.
get a person.
I thought that in US it was not that much for personal loan. I mean, you're talking about reducing rate, but still it's high.
Yeah. So if you get a personal loan like this high, to buy like a property over 100K, I think that before COVID it might be like 6 or 7%, and it could
Okay.
go up to like 8% easy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's usually like a little bit lower than credit card before that. Now it might be. I have not checked, but I'm pretty sure it might be like
Right.
14, 15
Okay.
or
Okay.
north of it.
Okay.
So if you so these are the reasons, like, so there was an opportunity, like, so if somebody is offering you a mortgage, and without a credit history, and then if you look at the market there, for example, there are pretty good properties, like, if I look at any water facing property, if you're trying to buy that in San Francisco or New York, or Florida, right? So these places is going to be like north of like $1 million, right? So
Hmm.
plus, and if you look at London, and some other places, so it's any water facing property like is going to be like they're even like 800K or 700, 700-800K pounds, right?
Hmm.
Here, like in Dubai, like if you see they are selling pretty decent, like a small good water facing property, like a good view, like between 200 to 300K, I think you can start. And so when I compare that, I think the and I think I liked the opportunity. And I'll go in more, like, the other reason to enter was like, if I go back in 2019, and if I may share actually my screen, and that one of the I'm using this site, Bayut, and I'm looking at, for example, for Dubai Marina, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened from 2012 to 2022? Actually, this graph I used to see from 2008. So the way it was initially, there was like a big peak there, which is not
Hmm.
showing in this graph.
Yeah,
It
it's
came
not.
down.
It's maximum 5 years, I think. No,
Yeah,
maybe 10 years. 10 years. This is showing for 10 years.
yeah. So by back in, I think, 2008 or 2009, there was a peak there, and then they
Yes.
came down. Then they came back up, and then again they came back down, and this is how it looks like. So
Hmm.
when I looked at it, right? So if you look at this graph, so this thing is like pretty much at the dip, right?
And
So
for people who are looking into this video for first time, or let's say they're not aware about this website, so there are certain websites that can give you the trend of the market, or let's say rental, or let's say property price. You can say their units. I don't know what should we call it, but it's kind of units, or their rates per square feet, and this is a trend. So it's a very good indication of area to area, especially the matured areas which are having good kind of properties already. They will have, yeah, index, yes.
so you can,
So
yeah, exactly.
okay,
Sorry,
so
please,
yeah,
please
so
continue.
there are sites like Bayut you're opening right now, and the property finder also has some kind of indexes of their own as well. Anyways, you can continue now.
Yes, thanks, Wali. So this is like, so when I was looking at it, I was looking at the property prices, and the thing I liked here was, it was in the Bayut, it was giving like, for example, all different places. So that gives you the property trend. I think the curve, like the graph, is going to be more or less same trend, and it
Hmm.
shows you the prices, and so that's where I pulled uh, like a 10-year chart.
Hmm.
So this is where, so I when I looked at it, and actually this peak was here, so because I did my last transaction like before COVID, so the peak was here, and when I saw from the peak, this was pretty low.
Hmm.
And I mean, no, it's very hard to time the bottom, right? Nobody can time the bottom. So the way I was looking at it, for example, here are the bottom, and you are like 50% below the peak. So that looks like a decent opportunity. So they may you may still have the downside, a little bit. And so I did some, like, maybe I entered somewhere here, and then you have
Hmm.
a little bit of downside, but then it's coming back up,
After
after
COVID.
COVID. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So
Okay.
another
This was your trigger point when you saw the 2000, let's say 8, because you were entering in 2019, let's say, so you can see that peak in this chart of the
exactly. So
of the housing downfall in 2008. Yes.
Exactly.
So
So this was like, a much more dramatic chart. But when I saw it, so it was like, so this point, what you're seeing is actually almost like 40 or 50% lower than, it's like a buy
yes.
one get one.
Yes. Yes.
That's what.
Yes. 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 You're right. Okay.
So this was 50% lower. And then
Mm-hmm.
you look at, so they were giving you mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, what was happening is, for example, if you have to go invest somewhere, now what was happening in the West? What was happening in the invest was a complete opposite of this curve. What you saw, like, there was a 70% up cycle.
Increment.
So
Yes.
yeah,
It
because
started, I think, in 2012. It started going up in the US.
yeah, so it was going steadily up, in since 2012, but then after like COVID, it was an exponential curve. So
Right.
like, in many places it's just doubled. It was as high as that.
Hmm.
So the thing is, like, if you so the thing is, when if you have to go and invest somewhere, right? So you look at, hey, do I want to pick up a peak invest, or I want to like go and look at the bottom, like in Middle East. So that was another like big thing. So for example, like, if you want to go and invest somewhere, so when I was looking into it, like, the US was starting to look, maybe less attractive, at that point, because of
Hmm.
just the and
Prices.
just because of the prices, even though the interest rates were pretty low.
Hmm.
And you in Dubai, the other phenomena was happening, that because of, like, I think, a lot of the workforce reduction, these prices were coming down. So this was starting to become, a more attractive
Yeah, yeah, I
entry.
remember somebody buying in 2017 compared to pre-COVID, not even going into COVID, just before COVID, they were still in loss because the prices were going down since 2017. So 2017 was some kind of a peak. From if you compare it with let's say 2008, 2008 was a first peak, and then there was a peak in 2013, 14 as well. Not peak, but a slight upside, and then 2017 there was an upside as well, which we can see in this chart, and then of course COVID hit, and then now going up again.
Yeah, and now I think it's now, Dubai got it into a cash 22. Now there is a global recession, right? So I think this may again get impacted because the UAE central bank, just piggybacks, the whatever
The
Fed is
interest
doing.
rates.
If
Yes.
yeah, interest rate, exactly. So if
Hmm.
Fed is going by like 25 basis point, they will go up by 25 basis point. They do it 75, they do 75.
Yeah.
So, and I see like the news coming in just few hours right after when Fed announces. So I think that impact they will see the impact. But then when you are into a property, typically I'm there for like 10 years, right? So I don't look at the daily price. It's okay. So I can what I look at is typically a cash flow that I
Cash
can
flow.
sustain,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for 10 years. If you, as long as you sustain the cash flow, it's it's not like a stock market to me, like, so there's a
Yeah.
difference between the
Yeah.
psychology. And you can't like trade it on a daily with the, now what if the price is going down, what can you do? So nothing you can
Hmm.
do, right? It's okay. So
Hmm.
it's a psychological thing. And then when the tenant is like living in, typically they have their lease locked for a year, so in Dubai. So that's okay. So the rent may reduce a little bit, if this thing is going down, and it did, and then it came back up. But this fluctuation is always there, so like, in any market you enter. So the thing is like, so to me was like, I was looking at my exposure, and the way I was doing the calculation, hey, you know what, I am already 50% down from the peak, like, and if they are like, if there is another 10-20% down, or maybe, and at that point nobody knew there was a COVID, by the way. So
Yes. Yes. And it could have been flat, or let's say going up from there as well, if there was no
yeah,
COVID.
exactly. So I was okay to, if it goes down by another 10, 20, 30%, it's okay, like
Hmm.
I can live with that. And I was like, it's not a life changing thing. So so I was willing to take the risk and try out.
Hmm.
And so that was like, and I was thinking the thing, the way I was looking at it, right? So you have all the, it's a like a 200K, 300K, like US dollar property. You don't get a like a water facing properties in US for this kind of thing. It has to be north of like 1 million, $1.5 million.
Hmm.
So it's so it the whole like equation like was looking good to me. And then plus, when I was doing the calculation around the rent, I did do some research with the rent. So there was this website, the Property Finder, and I like it. There's another one, Dubizzle, which I don't like, because I think Dubizzle has a lot of fluff, and Dubizzle is
Yes.
like all over the place, right? So they have
Yeah,
classified.
Dubizzle is not like, if somebody's looking into again outside Dubai, Property Finder and Bayut are very nice and very they are actually catering the residential, or let's say property market. But for Dubizzle is having property as one part of it, but it has too many other things um, that they are offering. So of course you don't specialize in that, and then you don't have this. As good as they're doing, the property finders.
Exactly.
I've heard that
So
the property finder also have this premium subscription as well. I think you can go deep into data with the premium subscription.
oh, okay, really? I did not know that. I just use the basic, the free one, right? And
Okay.
and I mean, if I pick up, like, for example, like, it says, the, for example, the JLT, well, or you can actually pick up by like, some, like, I'll just pick up Sabat hours like JLT, for example. It gives
Mm-hmm.
you like the all the. So this is a trend actually. You can just go at the buy, and like, so it shows you like, which area you want to buy. Like, you can filter by, for example, and it has a button for verified property too, so you can click on it. So some fluff likely will go away. So I
Mm-hmm.
typically look at the verified property, and then it shows you a range, right? So you will see a variation. So you can look at, for example, if you want to do a apartment, you want to look at the bird. So let's say you want to look at the studio and one beds. We just say one bed, example. So it will filter out, and it will give you like a good range of so you get a good sense of, for example, you took a look at it, and then this is again, Sabat Tower has multiple lights, so you want to go to maybe one or two. So let's say you want to go Sabat Tower 3. I
Mm-hmm.
just randomly picked it up. I mean, I don't have any preference here. So it gives you the gist of, for example, the one beds you can see like is going between 1 million, to 1.2, and then there are some odd one outs, so you get to go and check. So you get like under the bell curve, right? So under the bell curve, how they are selling for, sometimes like so when you're looking at each individual buildings, like every building has different prices depending on their age, the location, the views, for the apartment, and sometimes even the floor they have, the square footage. So you can so I just put my analytics here. I did not go there to even look at it, to go to
So
visit.
you purchased the property while you were in the US, and you took the
Absolutely.
decision. Okay.
Yeah. I just like had like a tour on had a like the property manager. gave me the tour, and I did all my research here. And then you have the Google Street View, right? So that gives you another angle to it. So I did all this research here and ran the numbers. I mean, I took a while. I was did not jump the gun. I did some research on, for example, what I was debating was like, where should I buy? Should I buy like so there are a lot of property selling, for example, on so Dubai also has an oversupply issue. So you can there is a tremendous amount of like apartments you can see there. So what I was debating on, like which areas to narrow down. So the logic that I put together is that if I pick up like some of the newer properties, so in three areas, like the downtown Dubai and Dubai Marina, and then I picked up JLT later on. So I personally like Dubai Marina because of like just the views and ambience. And if you look at the property finder is the most popular area. So my number one preference was Dubai Marina.
Right.
So and then the second thing I was looking for, either I can get maybe a property like next to the train station. So there are the DMCC's train station and the Shobha Reality's train station. So if I can get like something next to the train station, it may be easier to rent. And then or like the other one is if I can get a marina view or the sea facing view. But those properties were not working out. When I add the numbers there, the
The
math
rental.
was not there.
Okay.
So I
So you
tried.
had to compromise on the views or the location in that case.
Exactly. So you need there are some crappy buildings, so you can go and they are far out. So their numbers are okay there, but the buildings are not. Their reviews were not again, and this is all online, right? So this
Where
is
did you
like
get the reviews from for the buildings?
just put that name on Google.
Okay, just by the Google.
Yeah.
This is what I do, but I thought that maybe you've got some other website as well.
No, it's not sophisticated. So if, for example, it's 4.0, 147, so, like maybe, it's okay. So there are some of them like 2.5, 3.0. And some, that's all I was looking at, and then you read something and just, so it's all Google based, just random sites. So I said collected some statistics there, and then you look at it, for example, where and you say, for example, top 5 buildings in Marina or top 10 buildings in Marina, so people will give you different names there for where they think, and if you look at 2 or 3 sites, there are some names you see them repeating with recommendations. So those buildings I checked, but the issue in Marina was like they have a maintenance charge which is like 20 dirhams per square feet, which is a higher, which is one of the highest ones, and then you have like separate, you have to pay for parking. So numbers were not like, the rental yield was not as attractive working out for me. Maybe it does now, so but at that time when I was doing it, so what I did then I ended up with GLT, right? So I think so GLT, like I think I was finding it to be like more attractive, like it was next to the train station, and then I think the price was 20% less than Marina, and so I actually preferred JLT over Marina, for that reason, and I think the rental yield was decent.
So basically, what you've done is you've weighed out your options, and eventually, I can see that only thing that you've compromised on is not going for Marina. Remaining all the check marks you were able to take. Let's say the sea facing, let's say near to the metro, nice building, having good rental yield. All these check marks were checked, except for probably you were earlier looking for Marina. It was not coming into the filter.
That is correct, Wali. That's exactly what happened.
Okay. So you finally this was the filtration criteria where you were still in the US, not came to Dubai. Yet.
No. This is all remotely. So I was just doing everything remotely here. I mean, I've been to Dubai like a couple of times, so I know the area. But like all the research and buildings and all, nothing. I have never visited any building. I was just purely online. So
and
like,
still, you don't have any agent working for you still now until you got the filtration done, or you hired someone by that time.
so the way the way like Dubai works is, so there is typically like a property agent, who has the property, who has listed the property. And I did not want to, in US typically you have two agents. There's a seller agent and there is a buyer agent. In UAE, I did not want to have one more like gap there. So I was dealing with, so if I like a particular property, I just call the guy. So
Hmm.
I know from the horse mouth, is it available? Yes. Can you show me? He
Hmm.
says, yeah, I can show you. Or if he doesn't want to show, or he's not very proactive, then I just skip. So
Okay. Okay.
now, my observation was a lot of the people, whoever I called, were pretty desperate for business. So they were not. I don't recall any incident where I called any realtor and he refused to show, unless it was like sold out or anything. So they showed the properties, like, they gave the tour, and I asked the questions at certain thing. Then when I finalized it, then I asked one of my friend to just take a tour, and
Okay.
I didn't want to waste his time. So when I pretty much made up my mind, this is what it is, and
Hmm.
and I asked him to give that, take a look, and he said, yeah, this looks decent.
Okay.
So yeah, based off of my friend,
So
and
by
then I
that
took.
time, you still you still were not sure about the mortgage, or you were having back of the mind that you will go for the mortgage, or you had the
Yeah.
pre-approval of what exactly?
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I should have actually. All right. So the first thing actually I did was not look at the property. The first thing I did is actually apply for the mortgage, because I wanted
Okay.
to see if it's real. Because
Right.
that's a deal breaker, right? If they're not
Yeah.
giving, I did not want to put 100% there. So I did not want
Right.
to take too much of risk. So first thing what I did is I actually applied and looked at the mortgage. Back then they were like. So I did with Abu Dhabi Finance,
Mm-hmm.
and so I applied for for with the banks. So there was Rasul Khaimah Bank, which was giving, Mashrik Bank, which was giving, Emirates and
Mm-hmm.
Biddi, I think that time was doing, and Abu Dhabi Finance was doing. So the problem with the banks was they don't let you talk to a mortgage agent directly, and I was like very surprised on this. So when you call their 800 numbers, they will tell you, okay, give me your number and somebody will call you back. And 50% of the time they don't even return the call. And sometimes when they do, they will call at random time at 3 a.m. in the morning. So they don't respect you. No, no, no. If I tell them, hey, I'm in California, we have time difference, no, they want to call in their working hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part I did not like at all. So somebody will call me like 4 a.m. and you want to talk about the property, and I especially say, I'm here, this is my time zone, can we overlap, can you call me your 9 a.m. and 10 a.m.? No, they don't give a damn.
Hmm.
So the thing was like, amongst all this banks, like Rasul Khaimah Bank was, interestingly, I think they were more eager for the business than the bigger ones, right?
Hmm.
uh, and uh, and so when I was trying to go for the banks, I think RAC, I got a good traction with them, and then Abu Dhabi Finance, they had a pretty wonderful firm. It's fantastic, one of the top notch. The guy was like damn professional. So and the thing was, the mortgage was their primary business, right?
Right.
So a lot of these banks, they have like, they do all kind of stuff, and they have all the mortgage, and the expect mortgages might maybe 0.1% or
Yes.
0.5%. It's a
So they
very
might not have
small.
the expertise, or they don't have the interest as well sometimes.
Yes. So I think maybe the interest, to the maybe to the expertise, to the point. And even ADF, when I did with them, they also were like, it was not like a smooth sailing. They had to figure out at every other step
Hmm.
what is the process. So when I went to ADF, but they respond like right away. So ADF, I filled up the form. So it was an automated form. I filled it out. The guy called me, and then he was on WhatsApp. And so we had a WhatsApp contact, and they were like super responsive. So they approved me the mortgage in like 2 days. So which
Really?
was, yeah, yeah.
And
Okay,
it
so
was
so so
50
they,
50% of the mortgage, right?
yes. Okay. Okay. So I should have corrected that. Okay. So they do like a preliminary approval. So that you get
Yeah, yeah,
from banks, like,
pre-approval. Yes.
yeah. So pre-approval they gave like they gave me pretty fast. The actual one is like, when they know the actual. It's a chicken and egg problem. So the thing is, when you go for the property, like you are buying a property, you want to make sure you have a mortgage. When you are going up for a mortgage, they will ask you which property you are buying. So that's
Hmm.
how it is. So when I went for ADF, I just told them, hey, I'm buying something, in GLT, and I gave them a random name, and then later I changed it, and I, with the understanding, so they will start. So they pre-approved, pretty straightforward. The actual approval was, much more involved. When they asked for documentation and all later on. And it will get even more interesting when it comes to how the DBR is calculated there. The debt to the debt
Burden
ratios.
net ratio. Okay.
We call it LTV here, loan to value. They call
Hmm.
it the debt ratios. For example, how much how much existing. I will explain that actually,
Yeah.
in a bit
Okay.
how they do it. So the first step was, so I got the pre-approval from them. They were willing, and then so once I got their thing, and so the next thing was I called the bank, right? So for example, I called them, hey, can you open my bank account? And I called Mashrik Bank and Emirates Embassy, and they said, yeah, we will open the bank account for non-resident, no problem. Come to our branch. And so I double checked with them, and both of them said yes. Cool as cucumber, not an issue. You just come and we will open the account. I said, okay, fine.
Hmm.
So I took it very easy. So I was actually more worried about the mortgage part, that there will be some drama there.
So
So they
you opted for Abu Dhabi Finance, and that was not a bank. Otherwise, if you would have opted for some bank which was also providing the mortgage, then you might not be having issue. No, I think you will be eventually having the issue with the bank in any case. Mortgage might be approved, but the bank, because of your nationality.
I know, I think they it could be, so the thing is, like, the bank may ask to like fund the account, fund the mortgage in the account, and I think maybe that might have been the issue. So the thing is, like, for banks, so they have to fund the mortgage somewhere, right? So they might have, let me think about it. Okay, so the way Abu Dhabi Finance did was, they never funded the mortgage in a bank account. They actually took the check out. For example, if I bring 50% check, they took a 50% like a manager's check. So the money was never disbursed in any account, and they gave. So the bank account was never involved, like, from ADF side, in the
Right,
closure of the process.
right.
I don't know how the bank works,
So you would
whether
have
they
purchased
would
the
have.
property, and you didn't need, you didn't, let's say if you somehow manage the 50% on cash, or somebody from somebody else, it was not a matter, and you could easily get the mortgage done. And once it comes on the later part, maybe then you will be needing the bank account.
Yeah, yeah, and Wally, I did not have the mortgage. I closed the property without a bank account. So I did not have a bank account in UAE, like in under my name.
Ah, okay.
After the closure, that was the first time I visited the bank. So the bank account was like, so when I actually, I used one of my friends, like, thing, he helped me with that, and then I got a manager's check, so it was not an issue. And to till closing the property, like, the bank account was never an issue, never an issue there.
Right. So even you purchased the property without the bank account.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. And then after that,
so
of course, you will need the bank account. Then you went for the bank account opening process.
yes, and since we are in study, so let's talk about, so the way they do the DBR calculation, the debt calculation is, so when you're getting a loan, they want to make sure, for example, all of, if you have an existing mortgage, you have any other loans, you are and when they give this loan, so they take the new loan what they are giving plus existing loans, and whatever your income is, it should not exceed 45% of that. And uh, and and the way they do the calculation is actually based off of net income here,
Hmm.
so for example, the after tax income, and so they and then, here is where it was getting dicey. So the way they do it, let's say now, if you have six credit cards as an example, and you have like a credit limit of, let's say, $120,000, in the six credit card. So the way when they do the mortgage in US is, they look at your actual like utilization, like how much money you are using, how,
In the credit
so
cards.
exactly, right. So you in
Ha,
1%, if
ha.
you're using,
Here
if you are
if you are not using any zero balance in your credit card, even then your utilization is being counted, and that's strange.
exactly,
Yes.
that's what happened exactly. So they
Yes.
they said that these credit cards, so they took that like they took all that credit card like balance, which was like significant, like revolving credit lines are like larger, right? And
Hmm.
they put that unnecessary in the DBR, and then they increased
Hmm.
it by another 0.5%, the
Yes.
mortgage rate.
Yes. 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 For the
And
for that reason, sometimes we had to go and call the credit cards here to reduce our limits, or just entirely close the credit card, because of this reason.
he suggested, and if you do that in US, if your credit limit goes away, it will take a dent on your credit score. They don't
Uh,
like it, that if your credit, so you can't just go and close the cards just like that.
really? Ah,
So if you close a card and your credit limit is washed out, you will get at least a 10-point dent on your credit score.
although it shouldn't be, because you're just closing down your credit card, and it's actually good for someone who's closing the credit card.
Yeah, no, the way the credit bureau works here is look at the total. If your credit line, if lender is taking the credit away for
Hmm.
any reason, they see your credit line reducing, the accounts closing, whatever the reason is, the
Hmm.
credit score gets at least a 10-point dent.
Wow.
On
Okay.
if the credit line is taken away. Okay, so if you have to close a credit card, there is another way. The same bank, you have two credit cards, you move your credit line to the other card. So you have card one and card two, so you can move the credit line to from one credit card to the other credit card, and then you can shut down the second credit card. Is okay. So if, let's say you have $1,000 in one credit card, you have $1,000 in the other credit card, so you can shut down one credit card, take the credit line to other, like it will come 2,000. But in UAE it will be the same issue, right? So they
Yes.
they they put all the loan in that liability. So the other thing is like, what they look at is, for example, if you have an already rented property, you are getting a rent for the rented property, so they don't count that. So they look at again the mortgage, and they put that against your DBR. So that's, I think, the few things that, how the DBR is closed. Coming back to it, so once you like identify which property you want to buy, and then you want to go and to close the property, if you now you have highlighted it, so you require two NOCs there, no objection certificate. One NOC comes from the builder, and the builder, okay, so the builder will actually prepare the NOC for you. They will get it ready. They will not hand off to anybody, including your power of attorney or anybody. So you need to go and get that in person. The second NOC is from the service charges. So they want to make sure that the whoever the seller is, they have paid the service charges, and an NOC is required from the service charge company. So two NOCs are required, and then you take that to the land department to transfer the title in your name. The process
Hmm.
itself is pretty straightforward. They ask for the passport. They take the passport. You have like a cup of coffee or tea, and then 45 minutes you are done. Like super process. It's absolutely stellar, and they generate the title. I think they also run a background check to make sure no issues there.
Hmm.
So to transfer the property, once everything is lined up, you need to make sure your NOCs are prepared in advance. You just walk in there, and these guys actually ADF funded it, like without any issue, zero problem whatsoever. Okay, there was another interesting thing I want to highlight, that, and which was, I was almost shocked. So what they were demanding in the end was, can you give us a check for the entire outstanding mortgage amount? I was not, again, I'm not aware about it, and this is the
Post
first
dated
time I
check
heard
or
about it.
undated check, maybe.
Yeah.
Undated check.
So
Yeah.
so he, yeah. So I think he asked for a post-dated check, or maybe undated. I don't recall which version.
Yes.
But the thing he asked for, which was like, give me a check for the entire amount of mortgage in advance.
Hmm.
And this was like so there are two kind of mortgages, so the recourse and non-recourse. In US, 12 states offer non-recourse mortgages. For example, if you default on the property, the lender cannot go against your other assets,
Okay.
and California, New York, a lot of these are non-recourse states, right? If you buy in Texas, these are Texas, Florida. I think Florida is also recourse, so where they can go against your like assets. And think, and Dubai is a recourse mortgage, where they want to make sure you pay them, but they are taking it to a next level where they ask for a check, right? So,
Yes.
so,
Because you don't have any
so
other assets in the UAE, and they cannot run after you default.
yeah, I mean, I was like, dude, you just want me to write like a random check, for this amount, like, out of the blue on a random date. So, and by the way, it's not a big deal. You write a check, the check can bounce here. It's not an
Hmm.
issue.
Hmm.
So it's not like
But
in
in the
UAE.
UAE, it's criminal. Now it's
Yeah. So
changed. Yes.
so I started to argue. So this came like this was like a curveball, right? So they never told me this is expected, and I was lucky to have my checkbook there. Why would I carry my US checkbook? But I just had it.
Ah.
But and then, here's the other funny part. So he asked me for the check. Then I said, okay, how much money you need? So he says, this much in dirham. I said, I don't have a dirham account, man. What are you talking
Hmm.
about? Tell me in US dollar. So he could not figure out the amount in US dollar. Then he
Hmm.
talked to some people. He says, actually, it's not required for you. Expat mortgages, this check is not required.
Ah. Okay.
So, and this was another one of those things, where they don't know. And he was like going back and forth, like, do I need the check? And then eventually the check was not required. So that was not required. But then they actually, the other weird thing that I found was they actually take the physical title, and they take it the physical title away with them till the mortgage is paid. So they put that in the locker, which makes refinancing a nightmare. So like, because for refinancing you need to have the title in your possession, so you need to ask them, give the title uh, 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 away. But so anyway, so they took that. But by the way, later on it becomes like an electronic title. That's also was pretty impressive. When so they did that. So okay,
So
so
by
that
that time you were doing it, it was a physical paper for the
yeah,
title
so
deed.
that was a physical paper. They take the physical paper in their custody, and then they took it away. And this was again another surprise. I was not aware. So he took my title and said, "This is the worst." I was like, "Really?" And so this. And we again had an argument on that. But these were things like they don't tell like in advance, like this is what you expect or anything. They just like these are some small surprises, but it's okay. So that thing closed fine. I think they funded in time. There was no issue with the mortgage. The thing that gave me like a real hard time was so that okay, so this if you have a rented property like in Dubai, you have you need to have a registered lease called Ejari, and that so whatever like your agreement is with the tenant on the property. They give you like typically the four checks for the quarterly, or one check for yearly, or maybe a monthly check, whatever your arrangement is. So I got like four checks now, and these are post checks, which is nice, right? So you have all the rent in advance, right? So you need to now go and deposit these checks in the bank, right? Now, when I
Yes.
went to the bank, it was not a straightforward process at all. So I went to the Mashrik Bank in Al Ghurair, right? And by the way, I'm calling out the branch name because everyone has a different story, right? So you go to different versions of Mashrik, they will tell you two different stories. So the Mashrik, I went there, and at the Al Ghurair, they said that so in my case, I was a US citizen. So this says you need to fill out this form, come back after 20 days, and then we will
20
tell you we
days.
are, yes. It says then we will tell you we are open. Okay, so you can only open the savings account. You can't open the check, the current account. So the experts can only have the expert savings account. They said come back
Yes.
after 20 days. They did not open. I went to then the next one. I went to this the Emirates NBD, and this was again in the data that what was that road, right? That next to Clock Tower, that where so there was an Emirates NBD or the Dubai Clock Tower next to, and so I went there. That guy told me that if you want to open, you need to put 30,000 dirhams in a fixed deposit,
Hmm.
and then you have to come back after 2 weeks, and we will tell you whether we are opening your account or not.
Hmm.
Okay, so then from that point I went to Fab, with the first Abu Dhabi bank. I don't recall. I think Fab also refused, and I went to Rasul Khanna Bank. I thought maybe the smaller one will open. They refused. So that was fourth one. Then I went to the Habib Bank AG Zurich,
Okay.
and I went with the Pakistani passport.
Hmm.
And so he was fine, but then again he asked, like, are you like a US citizen? I say yes. So Habib Bank AG Zurich also refused. This was the fifth bank,
Hmm.
and then I
And
gave
this
up.
was
Pretty
happening
much.
purely because of your citizenship. Otherwise, they might have
Yes,
opened straightforward.
yes. So the seller was from Pakistan. He had a bank account there in AG
Hmm.
Zurich. So because he went there, I said, okay, I'll also go there. And it's not straightforward at all. So okay, so I think they will open it. It won't happen on the same day or same week.
Hmm.
So you have to make multiple trips there to open it. That was the gist of it. Then I
Hmm.
went to the Sharjah branch. There was a Sharjah branch, like for Mashrik Bank, and I went there, and they gave, and this was the next day, so I reset. So I thought, okay, forget about it. So I just went all the way to Sharjah, and I said, what, I want to go open the account. So there was a guy I spoke with, and he, it was interesting. So by the way, on the bank account, I need to talk about something. The international account is you need to have OTP on your international number. Any bank account you log in, OTP needs to come on international number, just like RDA, the Russian digital, right? So when you log in, so the RDA, your debit card needs to work on the international address, right? And then when
Hmm.
you call, it needs to be there, and you need to have the KYC happen. So it needs to be on the international. So it can't be. So all these things needs to be supported, right? So if they put a local phone number, that's not gonna work. So coming back to it, right? So these guys, they said they will give me, he said, okay, if I buy like a bank assurance, from them, for
Hmm.
70,000 dirham,
Hmm.
then they will open my account. And I some random company that which was that insurance was, they're pretty crappy, like But thing is like, so I asked what is the cancellation term for the insurance. So pretty much, the gist of it was you lose like 3-4 thousand dirhams, and then after that, like, after for 2 months payment, and then you just cancel it. So I think 2 months installment you will lose, and but then they opened it. Yeah, and this happened at like that right at that moment. So he sat with me. And he spent like good 2 hours actually. So I really appreciate. They were super helpful.
Hmm.
So they opened. He tested the OTP with me. So I sent the SMS, make sure the OTP is coming on the roaming number, and then like I he took the everything, and so they opened as the same account I use, and I canceled it. But the point I'm trying to make is like, if you have, like, if you're leaving UAE, you have a like a bank account, please don't close it. Convert it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
This is the key I've been telling to everybody that whatever you do, because I've heard that even if you're leaving UAE, if you have the residence still on your passport, go to Emirates NBD, ask to open expat account, because until you have the residence visa, you can do that. And once you cancel it, the Emirates NBD will convert the account to the expat account. But otherwise, once you leave UAE, it will be very difficult to open the account again.
Yep. So yeah. So this was, I think, the most. The crazy part is like, actually mortgage was not an issue. Even property was fine. Transfer was flawless. NOCs were not an issue. No, the only issue I had with this was actually a bank account. And
Mm.
which was, I was completely not expecting it. So, and so every time you have some random surprise. So this was part of it. And but now, like, when once the bank is operational, it's awesome actually. It works fine. There is also like Mashriq we can remit, so you can like send the money to Pakistan. It happens in like 3-4 minutes. They actually use the IBFT, so you go to the service, add the Pakistani bank account number there, and they pull the details. So it's really really good service.
So
And
in whole of the process that you mentioned, the only difficult part was the opening of the account, and before that you were
yes.
already having the mortgage. So starting from the beginning, you were in the US, and you picked your real estate agent as well. You picked your property as well, and then you also negotiated with the lender mortgage institute here, and then you come here and finalize the things. And that happened within a couple of days, the mortgage thing.
12 hours. 12.
12.
I landed. I landed on a Sunday. Monday mortgage was funded if the property closed. Not a problem. It was like a breeze.
Yes.
So it was, that process did not take. So it was just like a half a day process for me. And
So
NOC
actual
was
thing, yeah. So NOC, and after this, let's say once your bank account is opened as well. Now, is there a problem while dealing with different departments, or let's say your tenant, or anything else?
no, nothing. So the thing is like, so when you buy the property, there's another step that needs to happen. Deva, that so you need to have a landlord Deva. So Deva is the Dubai, like, what do you call the Deva is the
Dubai
Dubai Water.
Electricity and Water Authority.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thanks, Wali. So Deva, you need to go and create the account, and that requires a local phone number. So that's the only issue. So
Hmm.
you need to have some local phone number to register, and then if your building has a chiller, you need to have also the registration for the chiller. So you just go create two these accounts, put some, and by the way, they actually charge a ridiculous amount. So that when I opened Deva, they ask for like some 3,000 dirham something in
Yeah, that
deposit.
is a
So
deposit. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
which I think was the highest deposit for a utility company. I was surprised on that.
Yeah,
But
it's like that.
they told, yeah. So that I not actually researched in advance, but that I was surprised. Like,
And
why? But that's how it
I
is.
don't know, I don't know about nowadays, but earlier that original slip is very important. If you don't produce the original slip, you won't be able to get that deposit back. Now I don't
Yeah.
know if it's changed.
So they opened it, and the good thing is, like, now if a tenant vacates, it automatically switch over. So it goes to you, and you can activate or deactivate, and then same thing is with the chiller. So that's all it is. So after that, it's not a problem at all. So now you have to make a, for example, the invoice payments. So you can make it online. Mortgage payments is done online. And then, I also, another last thing I want to point is the title release. So actually I paid off the mortgage. So like, after I paid off the mortgage in like 3 years, so you, and you can do that. So the way there is 30% or 20% each year you can pay, depending on how you have negotiated the mortgage, and that's the 30% of the remaining balance, not the total balance. So, and then they charge like 1%, which is still not bad, right? So 1% is decent. So once
Hmm.
you pay off the mortgage, this is now I was thinking, what happens to the title, because that
Yes,
guy
it's with
took
them.
that.
Yes.
So here is the crazy part. So I called them and I said, hey, you know what? I need my title. I am paying it off. What do I do? So they said you have to come in person and take this title. And
Mm.
and he told me like you need to get this NOC and that NOC. And then he told me a parallel thing. He says, oh, by the way, you can also do it through. Now we have a new system. Where titles are electronic. Just disregard everything and follow a completely different thing. Send me this and that, just few documents, and receipt, and they actually generated. He said that title is gone, forget, you don't need it. He sent me an electronic title. So they
Okay.
released it, and now they have I think from blockchain some electronic title, and they that comes via email, and so you don't need to be physically there, which was also like a really awesome thing.
Uh-huh. Right. I get the
So
point. Yes. Yes.
so when you pay it off, just send the receipt, and then you get the title through the email. You don't need to be there. I think this was also like pretty good.
Hmm.
So you don't
So,
need to make a trip.
so the property is paid off now, and the rentals are going on. Your bank account is working. Your international your roaming number is also having the OTPs. So everything
Yes.
is smooth now. No
Yeah,
issues.
yeah, yeah. So OTP is working for me for 3 years, no issues. One time actually it went down, but that banks can have hiccups, right?
Hmm.
So once the SMS is stopped working, and I was pretty annoyed because you can't pay the mortgage, right? So and actually that was the time after that, like SMS thing, I paid off the mortgage to just finish it. Well, it was not but it was just like an annoyance. Only once it happens, but generally like the OTPs come just fine, no issues. And there are OTPs also of two types. So first is like when you log in, the bank sends the OTP, and sometimes when you are paying like the debit card transaction, there is a OTP comes through another gateway. I think some Visa something, and they look different.
Okay.
So and when, by the way, when the OTP stopped, it was only the bank OTP stopped. Second OTP was coming, without any issue.
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, but other than once, like in the, I never had any issues, no
Great.
problem.
Okay, very nice that you've explained us this full process, and I hope people will get to know this thing that you can still easily apply for the mortgage while outside. And I've been listening to this from different property agents as well, that easily somebody can from outside, just normal documents, if they can, because the thing is, it makes sense as well, because for the banks, the property is in the UAE, the collateral is here, so you don't have to worry about anything. 50% is, you can, your property cannot go down 50%. This is, I think, what their thought process is, to keep it as at 30%, 50%. So thanks a lot. Anything else you want to let us know, so that we can wrap it up, and then maybe in the next session we can ask for some other of your experiences regarding real estate or the stocks.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to point out is, so they look at the local credit report, and by the way, when you're buying a used property, there is no escrow there. So like, which was also very, a new thing for me. So escrow is typically, you need to make sure that escrow makes sure that all everybody is getting paid on time. So the property is paid. The seller is paid. The buyer gets a title, and everything is done. So that's
Yeah,
their
yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah. Escrow is only for the
New properties,
for the new
new
properties.
properties.
Yes, off
Yeah.
plan. Yes.
There is no escrow there, so it means like, you need to do a old school like transaction, where you need to make sure that things are,
Yeah,
so you need
things
to
are,
become the
yes.
escrow on your own, so which was also
Yeah.
very unusual, for me. So
Okay.
so
Okay. Okay. Anyways, thanks for letting us know your experience, and I hope we can have such sessions in future as well. People just like the video if you've enjoyed it so far, and subscribe to the channel. And Khurram's LinkedIn and his socials are in the description as well. You can follow him as well. Thanks a lot, Khurram. We'll see you later.
thank you, Ali.
See you.